when we consider what the big, beautiful bill is going to do to this country, what it is going to do to the poorest people in this country, what it's going to do to the sickest and the most vulnerable people in this country, and the fact that these people are celebrating it. MAGA is celebrating. You know what I'm thinking I'm going to do before I even get too deep into it? What I'm going to do is, and God is going to have to forgive me, God. I just feel this in my spirit to do. I'm going to print up a sign. You know how the Westboro Baptist Church used to go and protest military funerals? I'm going to print up a big sign like that, but I'm going to say, this is what you voted for, isn't it? And I'm going to go outside of every MAGA funeral that's caused by the big, beautiful bill and the destruction of Medicaid, some 17 million people being taken off of Medicaid. I'm going to go out to their funerals, and I'm going to do my best not to laugh at them, because they're celebrating today that which is going to be destructive to them in the long run. Now, I know many of us are going to suffer as well. So it's not going to be an isolated thing. It's going to be all of America. In fact, if we look at the entirety of this bill, they are increasing the budget for ICE by some 500%. ICE is going to be bigger than the FBI. So if we look at the totality of this bill and everything that they're doing, the type of damage that they're doing through making these 2017 tax cuts permanent, it is going to be the destruction of the United States of America without question. And so we want to take a look at that bill. I want to just play the moment that they were all celebrating. They really, I mean, they started chanting USA, USA, USA.
On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
I mean, listen to it. Have you ever seen people so excited about destroying the United States of America, destroying the lives of millions of Americans? Literally, what is happening right here, right now, we are seeing the inflection point where this country, while we were, thank you, Nick, that's exactly what I was looking for. This country, while we were in a state of managed decline, while we were not what we were supposed to be, we were certainly not what we could be. We were not on the trajectory for this techno-fascist future where billions of dollars are now being poured not only into ICE, but being poured into companies like Palantir, poured into surveillance, poured into making sure that they can make every one of our lives not only miserable, but micromanaged down to the data point. They are celebrating the destruction of the United States of America, the complete incapacity. I mean, they are going to ensure that you have no ability to protest, because when you put the big, beautiful bill and you juxtapose it with what Robert Kennedy Jr. is doing over at HHS, you will quickly realize something, that they are going for the death blow. They're trying to ensure that you cannot have any energy or even the health necessary to resist this regime. I want you to take a listen to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as she spoke outside of Capitol Hill and said that this is the saddest day of modern American history. And I have to concur. Take a listen in.
One of the saddest days in modern American history. This is the largest withdrawal and ending of healthcare in American history. 17 million people in our country, 17 million Americans in our country are going to lose their Medicaid. They're going to lose their ACA insurance. Small business owners are going to have their healthcare costs skyrocket, and people are going to have their SNAP and WIC cut back. People are going to go hungry. People are going to get sick. on a scale unlike anything we've ever seen. And it's all of it is just to finance tax cuts for billionaires and the wealthiest corporations who don't even need it. I don't think I've ever seen, I don't think we have ever seen or are prepared for how catastrophic this is set to be for a lot of people. And I think it's devastating. And they're talking about this as though it's some tax cut. Even the stuff that they're talking about, taxes on tips, no tax on tips, that's only for people, that's only up to $25,000. And if you're making less than that, you're already kind of exempt from a lot of these things in the first place. So they're giving people crumbs and they're taking away the whole loaf. And it's just a genuinely really sad day for our country.
What about Leader Jeffrey's final message, looking ahead to 2026, 2028?
Well, you know, to Leader Jeffries' message, he's right. The best thing that we can do right now is press on. And in order for us to salvage what we have and to build through, we have to chart a new course and a new path to our future. And we have to make sure that there are consequences. If you're on Medicaid, if you're on ACA, if you are on Medicare and rely on Medicaid to help with your long-term care, there have to be consequences to these votes. And we have to decide if this is just a joke or just for TV or if this is our real lives. And I hope people vote like it's our real lives.
Like it is our real life. You know, the sad part about this, as I am messing up my own production, thank goodness Nick is back there to make sure that I get set properly. The saddest thing about this is that not only is this not a joke, but this is intentional. And I think we have to start accepting that. We should have accepted this a long time ago, folks. What MAGA is doing to the American people is intentional. They have no problem if you die. In fact, it actually helps them out the more we die and more quickly we die. They cannot afford to have resistance. They cannot afford to let there be an even playing field because they cannot compete on an even playing field. And so it is very necessary for them to destroy us, completely and totally destroy us. I mean, they want us dead. They want us dead. And it is evident by how many people are getting ready to get sick and die because of this bill. It's not just that they're getting rid of 17 million people off of Medicaid, but the rural hospitals that so many people depend on that were already in trouble. Those hospitals are going to shut down, those that were left. It's not just that they did this to enrich the rich even more. They did this strategically to undermine our ability to have a voice. I can tell you what's next on this. I can tell you what's coming next. As sure as my name is Pastor Ben, what's coming up next is that they are absolutely positively going to start ensuring that we have limited access to the internet. Very controlled and filtered, algorithmically suppressed access to the internet. Why? Because that's our last line of collective defense. We're not going to have enough money to travel around and connect with each other and protest in person across the country to do what's necessary. So they understand the last line of collective action is going to be found on the internet. And so you can guarantee that the suppression that you're facing right now is just the beginning. You can guarantee that the way the algorithm is pushing MAGA in your face all day, every day, this is just the beginning. They have to control the narrative. They have to control resistance. They cannot afford an even playing field. They cannot tolerate there to be equity, inclusion, or diversity. Why? Because every time there is, they lose. If there is an even playing field, they lose. And so what do? They have to get rid of democracy. They must destroy democracy. They must destroy resistance. And so this bill is not just a giveaway to the rich, which it is, but it's making the 2017 tax breaks permanent. right? I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember that. I remember Paul Ryan and Donald Trump coming together and getting that exorbitant bill, that $2 trillion, if I'm not mistaken, a $2 trillion over 10 years giveaway at the time. Now they've made it permanent. This is going to inflate the deficit, the debt in unimaginable ways, all the things they say they care about. So I don't want us to look at this through the lens of just, oh, this is destructive economically. You have to look at this through the lens of the long game. And that's what I want to put on the screen. I want to look at this decades-long outlook that we pulled together from the BBB. And I don't know if you all can see it that clear. Let me see if I can make it bigger. I don't know if I can, but either way it goes, I'll read it to you. You have to look at this over the long run, because most of the impact from what's going to happen is going to happen after the midterms. Of course, you understand why. Because if anything is really impacted before the midterms, then the people will feel it. And if the people feel it before 2026, they will respond accordingly. But they're going to delay the impact just by about 2 years, a year and a half. So after the midterms, that's when you're going to start feeling all of the ramifications. On public health, between 2026 and 2029, after the midterms, coverage loss spikes. Wait, before I go through this, hang on. Here's what matters. In 2026, that is our last opportunity to put a wedge, a block, an impediment in the way of MAGA. If we don't stop them in 2026, what's going to happen? They are going to be able to have 2 additional years to permanently enshrine and codify all that they are doing. That will give them 2 years to try to get a constitutional amendment through around the country, right? They need 75% of the states. They're not too far from it, but they're trying to get Donald Trump to be able to run a 3rd term. Now, they might want to be careful on that, because if they allow Donald Trump to run a 3rd term, it's a good possibility that Barack Obama would jump in there and run for a 3rd term, and then that's game over for MAGA. I think Barack Obama still has enough charisma and a pull. Like, I know as many folks who don't like him, right? As many folks who know that his administration wasn't good for a whole lot of people, wasn't necessarily good for black folks. I can tell you that for sure, right? He made sure he let everybody know that he wasn't the black president. Okay. He was leading in drone strikes, right? So we got all kinds of criticisms of Barack Obama. But one thing I can guarantee you is if they open up a 3rd term possibility for Donald Trump, they open up a 3rd term possibility for Barack Obama. And so whether or not they'll actually achieve that, we don't know. But we know that they are pushing it right now. And so if we don't stop them in 2026, we don't have control over the House. If we don't have at least the House of Representatives, we will not be able to stop them from codifying even more damage. It will take that many more decades to undo what they've done in just these first 2 years of Donald Trump's 2nd term. Then if we have to wait between 2026 and 2028, you understand, right? That's going to be even more damage that they're going to make permanent. And so we absolutely, positively have got to block them in 2026. And this is why they are not letting the impact of what's happening in the big, beautiful bill take place until after 2026. But if you look at the long term, you look at the decade-long outlook based on, and of course, if you're looking at the screen, this is covering all the major areas of what this bill does to public health, what this bill does to climate, what this bill does to social stability, what this bill does for wealth concentration, and what this bill does for democratic institutions. Between 2026 and 2029 in public health, coverage losses spike. Those people who have coverage now are going to lose coverage. Rural closure of hospitals. Between 2030 and 2034, life expectancy declines. We are going to be living shorter lives in the United States of America as a result of this bill. 1 to 2 million more uninsured children across this country. This is an intentional attack on the not even the livelihood, but the ability to have life. In terms of climate change, emissions are going to rebound by 2027, as though we were making great progress. but this bill is going to ensure a reversal. And of course, we're going to miss 2030 emissions target. Forget about that. They don't even believe climate change is real. They don't even believe climate change is real, undoing much of the IRA gains. Social stability, food insecurity rises. People are going to be hungry. And they're ensuring that that hunger doesn't kick in until after 2026. But by 2027, but 2028, people will be experiencing hunger. And let me tell you, I don't know how many of you, I know this is a working class channel, so many of you probably understand exactly what I'm getting ready to say. When you are hungry, when you can't feed yourself and you can't feed your kids, you cannot focus on politics. You cannot focus on what the government is doing to you, what the regime is doing to you. And this is why they need us to be sick and hungry. Growing geographic inequality. We are going to be segmented by zip codes, no longer north versus south, but precisely by your zip code. The poor communities next to richer communities, separated maybe by 1 or 2 miles, but separated infinitely by the kind of health disparities that exist, the kind of food insecurity that exists between one zip code and the next. Let me give you not a anecdote, but it's I guess it's an anecdote, but it happened in the state of Florida. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic that MAGA was pretending like they didn't want the vaccine, but Ron DeSantis ensured in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis ensured that the richer zip codes got access to the vaccine first. I need to repeat that. At the beginning of the pandemic, in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis ensured that the richer zip codes, the richer Floridians, got access to the vaccine first. This is what it's going to mean. You could be in one zip code over and be living in food insecurity, with health disparities, not able to access hospitals, not able to access decent education. And all of this is enshrined in the big, beautiful bill. Wealth concentration, we already understand what they're going to do there. The top 1% of income share is going to increase over 25% more than where we are right now. Intergenerational wealth gap is going to widen. They are so committed to passing down wealth without any responsibility to the system from which they gain the wealth. What am I saying? They don't want to contribute anything. They want to take everything from us and contribute nothing. This is what the big, beautiful bill is going to do. Democratic institutions between 2026 and 2029, the courts are going to be overwhelmed with challenges. They already are overwhelmed. The split between courts that are trying to uphold the judiciary and courts that are loyal to Donald Trump. It doesn't help that we have the Supreme Court that is loyal to Donald Trump. And so we are going to see the further erosion of our institutions based on the judiciary. Folks, I'm just, at the end of the day, we have to act now. It's now or never. It is now or never. I don't know what it is that you can do. I don't know what it is that you can contribute. I don't know what it is that you have an expertise in. You may not be able to hit the streets. You may not be able to go and protest. I don't know what it is that you can do, but folks, whatever it is that you can do, we got to do it now.